What's up, guys? This is Brian. This video is for Turf Mechanic Vlogs. It's part of the Turf Mechanic series of yard tours. I haven't done one of these since November, since around Thanksgiving 2021. I've had this on my list of things to do, and so I'm just going to get it done. Want you guys to understand that a yard tour for me, these kinds of videos are almost more generated for me than they are for you. I know a lot of you find them interesting, and so I want to present stuff for you. But truly what I'm doing here is I'm documenting my progress here in the lawn for my own self. I find a lot of value in documenting just where I'm at from time to time. There's nothing polished about this video. It's going to be a completely unedited video. And for the most part, I haven't even prepped my yard for presentation. Like, this is just kind of my lawn and my property where it stands today. There's nothing glamorous about it. There's a lot of problems with it right now. So if I was making a production video, a lot of lawn tubers out there really showcase themselves in the best possible light. There's nothing best possible light about this. I had a moment of vanity this morning. I did pick up a few of the kids' toys off the lawn and ran the mower over it because it'd been a few days. So just a touch of vanity. But for the most part, you're going to see the good, the bad, and the ugly here in the yard. So let's go ahead and take a look. There's the house down there. And here is this area of the lot. I don't even really have a name for this. This is kind of my extended hill yard. I usually cut this down. It's not focused on it here. I usually cut all of the stuff down off of this yard roughly twice a month. It's probably been about 3.5 weeks since I did it. I had COVID, and every single person in my family has had COVID in the month of May. So I have fallen behind in a lot of things. So I'm going to have to deal with this sometime as soon as possible before it gets truly out of hand. Same thing goes for the dog kennel. This time of year, I really got to hack down the fast growing grasses and weeds that are in there and pick up dog poo. I just haven't done it, when you've got 7 people in a house that are all sick, things just fall behind. So this looks genuinely terrible, and it is what it is. So I'll have to deal with that. Over here, this was the start of one of my projects. This is my battery tank sprayer that I keep talking up, saying that how cool it is. I filled this up with glufosinate, which is a natural not natural. I suppose it's kind of semi-natural, but it's totally a chemical. It's a more natural compound version of glyphosate. It doesn't have that carcinogenic, I can't say that word. It's not as dangerous as glyphosate. So the product in there is from the Ike's company. I went to go and prepare a batch to start killing off my hill yard, and literally the thing, like the wand, exploded on me when I turned it on and pressurized it. This is why you wear PPE. I was wearing everything that you're supposed to wear, and it just exploded all over me. I was going to do the application there on the hill yard, and then prepare this tank for a video about how to clean your tank sprayer. And so that's really thrown a kink into the mix. So I'm not sure. I think the tank is repairable, but I'm not 100% certain on it. I'm going to have to drain this out into one of my other tanks, and I might end up using another application here on the lawn. Because the hill yard here is getting killed off. I've mentioned this many times on the channel so far. Let me zoom out here. This is what I call the hill yard. The hill yard I've left very, very natural for years. And this year I finally decided to kill everything on the hill yard, including the weeds and the natural grasses that grow here, and install a buffalo grass / clover lawn. So I don't like the dandelions because they invade the actual main lawn, but I do like the dandelions in that they support our pollinator population for the garden that you see down there, which we're just about ready to start planting in. So clover is going to give us all those little flowers. They might not be quite as early in the season as dandelion flowers are, but since we don't grow things in the garden very early because of late frost dates around here, I think the clover is going to be fine for subsequent years. But I do have to use, I don't like using chemicals in the lawn, but I do have to use it if I want to kill everything off. So as you see here, let me move down here so you can kind of take a look. You can see this firm line where things look like they are almost dead here and then totally dead over here. So I did, I don't know, something like a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, I applied a round of glyphosate to this kind of rectangular area right here. And then I ran out of glyphosate. So I had to go out and buy a new product, but then I lost my window of opportunity to apply it to the rest of the area because of weather. We got cold and we got rainy. Actually, we got cold and snowy. So I was only able to apply glyphosate here. But since then, I've decided to start moving over. Instead of using glyphosate, which I've used a handful of times already, even on the channel, I've used it a few times, I'm starting to use glufosinate. Glufosinate is like what I said before up there with that tank. I've got a product from Ike's company that uses it, but of course there's plenty of other brands that use it. It's a natural compound, natural chemical compound that's very similar to the synthetic compound of glyphosate. It's not quite as systemic and aggressive as glyphosate, but as you can see, can you hear it? It's crunchy, man. It's totally working. It's killing everything off. And look at this down here. You see this line? This is the line between my main lawn and the start of the hill yard here. And this is, if you saw my grass seed head identification video, this is all Kentucky bluegrass that has spread this way. It's not all, because there's some other stuff mixed in here along with like some undesirable grasses. But I mean, everything is dying. Here's a weed that's totally crisping out and dying off. So look at this. This is glufosinate. And I put a barrier of plastic right here. So it's just a straight line, man, and everything is totally dying off. Crispy? I guess it still makes noise, but it's nowhere near as crispy. Everything here is dying. The glufosinate is really, seems to be working well. Here's an interesting thing. So weeds are dying. Dandelions. When you kill a dandelion, especially since it's a perennial dandelion and they're trying to flower, they start dying, but they still put up their flower heads. And they do everything under the sun that this living plant organism can do to attempt to throw seeds out. So I've let a lot of this go since I applied the glufosinate because I want the product, any product that's in like the leaf tissues and the stem tissues, to get down into the root system to kill it off. But at some point I run the mower over this to suck up all of these seed heads. Otherwise they're just going to keep seeding the lawn. So I'm going to have to do that here soon. See, I've got a lot up here. This is the dandelion patch kill that I did. Right now it doesn't really look very impressive because I've glyphosated it since I made that dandelion kill video. But anyway, because I'm planting buffalo grass here, I haven't seeded yet. I mean, we're talking, it's June 2nd right now, and as you can see, everything's looking just about ready for vegetation, you know, removal, you know, dethatching machines. There's my daughter. Hi. But buffalo grass is a warm season grass type. It can grow all the way up as north as Montana, and it will live through cold weather, but it won't germinate in cold weather. And the buffalo grass, and I've attempted to, well, I've already started growing some down in pots. Here, let me show you. Say hi.
Hi.
Hi. You don't have socks and shoes on. Is that ouchie? Yeah, she says. Don't worry. The glufosinate was applied, what is it, like 10 days ago. This grass is perfectly fine for animals and kids to be on at this stage. Certainly nobody was on this when it was freshly on the ground. But let's see, over here I started growing some buffalo grass. There's my other dude. Hey.
Hi.
Here's some of the buffalo grass that's going to go in. This is really, really young, and I didn't even water it yesterday, so it might look a little, it is struggling. I mean, I'm not really caring for this as much as I should be, but I wanted to see how fast it would germinate in good conditions, and I was able to prime some grass seed and get it to start germinating in 3 days. The unprimed grass seed started germinating in 4 days. So I'm probably going to end up priming the grass seed if I can and sticking it on the hill because I had to germinate that in 80-degree air temperature inside the house. So over here we've only had one 80-degree day so far this year. So once I put this on the ground, it's not going to germinate in 4 days, even if it's primed. I need warm soil temperatures and warm air temperatures to get that stuff to germinate. And I expect to get that at some point here in June. I don't know when. Right now my 10-day forecast doesn't have anything higher than about 75 degrees, but we're getting closer. And so long as everything's killed off, you know, I can only do what I can do. So here's another project. My chickens are going nuts over here. I think they're out of water, so I'll have to give them some water. But I'm finally finishing the corner of our fence line here to the garden, because we've got a ton of garden starts. I'm going to be putting those in with my wife into all of the garden here. I've already started swapping out hoses and things that need to be repaired. This garden is going to look intense in about 60 days. So, but I gotta protect it because we've already got deer started to come in. We've got our perennial strawberry plants here. The deer actually came in and started eating them away. Chives look fantastic. Those are perennials. They just keep coming back. But anyway, the garden's just about ready to go. You want to see it? You want to see inside the compost bin?
Yeah.
There's a compost bin. I just threw some grass in there.
No,
This one we don't have anything in yet.
how about this one?
Yeah, that's just dirt. I need to finish that one too. All my old compost piles are way up the hill and I've neglected them. They've kind of gone, they're kind of not really piles anymore. I'm sure I could revive them. So once this is done, I'll actually put a lot of material in there. Here, baby, let me put you down. Let me finish talking to the people. So anyway, this is a project. I really need to get this done over the next 7 days or so that we could plant stuff. Our last frost date is usually around June 10th, 12th, 13th, something like that. So that's pretty important. I'm really excited about this. I'm going to start with buffalo grass first. And then give it, and I'm going to put the buffalo grass down, and then I'm going to call it roughly 5 or 6 days later. I'm going to go ahead and add some annual rye on top of the buffalo grass seed. Hopefully I can get the buffalo and the annual rye to grow in at the exact same time to give me somewhat of a full area. And then later towards the end of August, I'm going to add clover seed onto the mix. So from my research, I've yet to have experience doing this. If I were to put buffalo grass seed and clover seed down at the same time, the competition in getting them established might be a little bit too much. And I'm not prepared to explain why right now in this video, but I feel like I could put the buffalo, get the rye to come in. The rye is going to come in super duper easy. and the rye is going to fill out that buffalo while the buffalo matures through the summer. And then as the rye starts dying off in the fall, that's when the clover is going to start taking over once I get the seed down. So I think it's going to work out pretty well. And there will be certainly videos coming out of the main channel about that whole process. I've got in the main yard, I got these kinds of things growing all over the place. I never applied pre-emergent this year. I didn't do it. I planned to, but I never did. We had such a cold April, like unseasonably cold. We had more snow in the month of April than we did in January, February, and March combined. I just never got around to putting pre-emergent down, and I've ultimately decided I'm not going to do it. So I got a handful of these weeds, and a couple others. We've got a few extra dandelions that I didn't have last year. I've experimented with putting down some spectricide on some of them, and I've experimented with putting down some natural weed killers, like not chemical versions on some others. I might make a video about that, but I'm not committed. I've got way more ideas than time to make videos. So I've been doing a lot of this, putting these weeds in the trash. I did, like I said, I did, my vanity got out and I did like cut the grass a little bit so it looks tidy here. I purposely didn't cut this. So if you watched my video about painting glyphosate onto undesirable grassy weeds, so grasses that aren't going to get killed by traditional weed killers, this is the area that I did it in. Now this area I let get overgrown on purpose for that video. And now you can see I've cut it back down to its normal height. And you see how stressed it looks? This is what we talk about with a 1/3 rule. Whenever I reference like grasses growing too much and then we cut them back down and it stresses them out, this is what you're looking at here. If they're all like white, almost like I cut it with a dull mower blade. We're seeing stem material. We're just seeing grass that isn't happy. This is what happens when you cut it less frequently and you cut more than 1/3 of the grass blade off. It just doesn't look happy right now. So I wanted to leave it like this so that you could see it, because I didn't touch it up today. Everything else, if you look at it, you don't see any of that like white tinge. You don't see any of that stressed look. And that's because I'm constantly mowing this. Now over here, way under the little tree over here, this I did cut more than 1/3 off because I let it get overgrown so that we could see another one of those videos on the main channel. I wanted to show a lot of more advanced developed stems and seed heads from some of the grasses growing here. It actually looks better than I expected it to look after cutting it down, because I basically cut like half of it down, maybe even a little bit more, after letting it get overgrown on purpose. So I'm pretty happy with that. I personally, here in my yard, am getting to the end of my seed head season. So I'm glad that I was able to get that seed head video out, produced and out. But here's the update on this area. This is the area that I talked about in my lawn leveling mistakes video. From far away, it looks like it's fully recovered, but it really hasn't fully recovered. We've still got over here in the area, there's a lot of bare dirt showing, you know, and it's filling back in. I opted to not reseed because I don't want to mix up cultivars and have a permanently different color and texture to this area. I had the benefit of being able to do that since I'm running a lot of this as Kentucky bluegrass, so it will fill in. So these areas will probably be more dense in KBG than they are perennial rye, but you can see there's still some perennial rye coming out. I could go through the whole area, but everything is a little bit thin in certain spots from my nearly catastrophic lawn leveling attempt. There's the kids having fun. This is what makes the yard. This is why I do the yard right there, guys. Say hi. Hi again.
Hi.
You like the grass? Yeah. You having some water or some juice?
Yeah. We're having cranberry juice.
Cranberry juice. That's nice. One of my goals this year was to keep my fence line better. I've said that a few times on the channel. I don't harp on it a ton, but it's been a challenging spring for us as a family. We've had death in the family. We've had extended times away from the house that I've worked around here on the channel. You know, we've just gone through a stretch of 7 people in the family going through a stint of COVID. I'm doing all right on the fence line. I've been manually doing this. I've ultimately, at least to date, I haven't sprayed anything along the fence line. I'm just manually plucking things away. But you know, you get to a stopping point and then you just never start back up, and it keeps going. So this is another challenge of having a rock wall on the outside of a fence line with creeping Kentucky bluegrass that wants to spread out. So you can see now, this is all the Kentucky bluegrass that has gone to seed on the outside of the fence. And it's kind of thin there, but as you move over here, this is an area that I've never been able to keep under control. It's always been too low on the list of things to do, and it takes a long time to do it. It's just one of those things I really want to do, and I'm just not finding the time to do it. I haven't cleaned up the tree here, the base of the tree. We got all these suckers that come up, and all the natural grasses that are coming up, and I have to like literally take like grass clipper shears, like garden shears, way down under the subterranean area down there to cut all that back. It takes time, and I haven't found the time to do it yet. At some point I will. I'm not a perfect lawn care YouTuber like some of the other guys are. This is another project that I even started filming this to try to clean all of this up. I started pulling pavers out and cutting down. There's a wiffle ball here. But you know, life gets in the way. So I'll probably end up backfilling a little bit of dirt, unless I can find the time to continue bringing those out and digging all of this stuff out. It's just another thing, you know. Let's come over here. Now you can see, I don't know if you can see this. Hopefully you can see this. I haven't watered the grass in a while, like a long time. This year is the year, let me get away from the kids, they're loud. This is the year that I'm really trying to water the grass as little as possible. Way less than any year prior. And I've always talked about watering the grass less frequently, less often. Just water it deep every now and then. And that really helps. It helps the root system develop. It helps the grass develop a tolerance. Helps the grass develop a tolerance for drought, especially if we're fertilizing it well, like intelligently, not just throwing nitrogen on it, letting it grow gangbusters, like fertilizing it for health and tolerance to stresses. So, but anyway, I've watered this ground like a true irrigation session. Right now it's June 2nd. I've watered it twice this whole year. Now I've put the sprinklers on a couple times for the sake of making videos and creating some b-roll and doing some minor watering in of products that I've put down on the lawn. But an actual irrigation session, I think I've done 2 this entire year. So the lawn's looking great, but it is stressed out, and you can see that because I've got more seed heads in the lawn than I've had in years past, and I've got some dry patches in the lawn. So that's what I was getting at. Over here, you can tell, especially along the edges, things are getting dry. Now I've got hydrotain down, and that's helping a lot. Here's another one of those weeds. You have to pull that, hand pull that probably. But everything is starting to get dry, so it's just about time to put stuff down. I do have, oh, there was a patch over here I wanted to show you guys, whoever happens to be watching this deep in. You see this patch right here? I've let it get overgrown because there's a spot in the middle of it. That's a brown spot. I'm pretty sure that that is brown patch or some sort of fungus that has been hitting the spot. It actually looks a little bit better now than it did a few days back. Let's call it 5 days back. But I'm not cutting it because I don't want to run the mower over it and spread any fungal spores that might be there. Also, I've wanted to throw some milk on that and see if the milk does anything, skim milk, because I don't use fungicides in my lawn. Now, my guess is, I don't know why, but this spot has been extra fertilized all year. It's always growing more. And I'd say a month and a half ago, this just looked like a really lush spot compared to everything else. And a lot of times, over-fertilization can push fungus in the lawn or disease in the lawn. So maybe an animal peed there, maybe I accidentally over applied a little bit of fertilizer there. I don't know exactly why, but that spot got really flush, and now there's a little fungal spot in the middle. And if you've really been watching a lot of my videos, I applied a heavy dose of fertilizer earlier this year. And in that video, I said I was going to add sulfate of potash into the mix. I didn't show me doing it because I was going to do it a couple days later. I never got around to it. So this year, this entire lawn has received a good amount, like the appropriate amount of nitrogen and phosphorus, but I'm actually deficient in potassium for applications this year. So potassium is what we really are looking for in terms of plant health. If you only apply potassium, it's not going to make the grass grow. It's not going to make the roots grow per se, but it's going to make the plant healthier. And I never got that down. So that spot probably got a little bit of excess fertilization, probably on accident. It got undernourished in terms of potassium. And I haven't applied really any biostimulants to the lawn so far this year. It's been an interesting month of April and May for us. So that spot is getting hit hard, and there's probably a couple other spots that are on the fringe. So tomorrow, maybe today, we're supposed to get rain here sometime in the next 24 hours, 48 hours. So I'm going to be applying a dose of Lawn Lux, which is a 707, to the lawn, and hoping that the rain waters it in. If it doesn't, if we don't get enough rain, then I'm going to have to kick the sprinklers on for a full session, which is the kind of thing that I've been attempting to not do. Now, I do live in a very dry climate, so I will have to run those sprinklers pretty religiously over the next few months to keep everything going, but I really want to do it as little as possible. And so if I can time these applications around rain events, I can, even if I get a little bit of rain, I can put the sprinkler on for just enough amount of time to top it off to a full irrigation session. So instead of running the sprinkler for 100% of the time, maybe I can get away with running it for 50% of the time. But anyway, I'm going to be putting that Lawn Lux down. It's going to give me some slow release nitrogen and a natural source, naturally sourced potassium to go into the lawn. And hopefully with a little bit of skim milk, this is an experiment for me. I've never done the milk option. I don't want to put fungicide down on the whole lawn. I haven't done that in almost 2 years now. So I don't want to put fungicide down. So the milk thing will be interesting. But hopefully the potassium is going to help the whole thing work out. There's my kids. Kids are starting to talk to me again. What's up? You're going to climb? Here, let me finish the video and then I'll help you climb the jungle gym. There's what? Yeah, spider webs happen outside a lot. Here, let me wrap this up, buddy, and then I'll come and help play with you. Anyway, these are the things that I'm dealing with here in the lawn. I've got the front yard here. I was thinking about making a lawn cleanup video over here. None of this grass, none of this foliage is supposed to be here. It used to look like this a few years ago. I don't know if I'll get around to be able to do a full renovation here. I'd love to, but right now it's mostly just management. So I'm taking a mower over it on the highest setting just to capture seed heads and keep it looking all right, but it doesn't look great. I mean, for a lawn care YouTuber, this is sad. Anyway, if you watched to this point, I appreciate it. This is my yard tour, late spring 2022. Hopefully I'll do this again in a few months. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button, and I'll see you in another video.